Okay, we're here. We're ready to film, right? I'm just gonna check the lighting one more time. I think we're good. Oh, my water. So for today's look, I really am not sure what I want to do exactly. I just know that I want to do something a little bit more dramatic than what I usually do. And it's not going to be that dramatic exactly, because I don't really do super dramatic looks, only on special occasions when I know it's like a big event or something like that. But usually for everyday kind of thing, I basically just use bronzer on my eyelid and then put on mascara, some falsies. That's usually what I do. But for today's look, I kind of wanted to do something maybe more bronzy or something. I'm just gonna go along with it, and whatever happens happens, you know. So I got this primer like at Nordstrom, so it's all like in its old packaging, but it's still good, you know. I don't like using concealer just because I noticed that it always creases on my eyes, and it just doesn't work well for me as primers do. Like, I know on other people it looks really nice and it doesn't budge or anything like that, but for some reason I feel like it doesn't prime that well on my eyes. The first thing that I'm going to do is set my primer with some, just, you know, some eyeshadow. Couldn't find the word. And I'm using a flat brush from Morphe. It's the M204. From there, I'm just going to highlight my brow bone a little bit. I'm going to be using the Too Faced palette again, and I'll be using the shade Nectar. I'm going to be using a Morphe M506, and I know this isn't really for brow bone, but you know what? I'll use it for brow bone. I'll be using this e.l.f. brush that I got a very, very long time ago. It's a flawless concealer brush, but I use it to apply my transition color, usually. Oh, actually always. So I'll be using Peach Smoothie by Make a Peak. This is like a very, very loved used shadow. I haven't used it in a while actually, because I've been using my bronzer, but today I thought, you know, why not? So that's what I'll be using. Just getting a little bit on my brush, tapping off the excess, then going into the crease of my eye. So the crease of the eye is just usually where, like, when you look up and it folds, it's usually right there. So that's where you want to apply. Keep your eye open when you're applying your eyeshadow. That way it shows when you're done with the look, because sometimes when you look down and you close your eye when you do your eyeshadow, and you place it somewhere else, it can, when you open your eyes after you're done with the makeup look, you can't really see the eyeshadow, especially if you have a little bit of a hooded eye or something like that. So just a good way to make sure that all your hard work is shown is to open your eye when you're applying your transition shades, or just your eyeshadow in general. Once you get used to it though, I feel like you can close your eye and you kind of know your eyelids very well. So next I'll be using the shade Caramelized. I don't know if this is from Make a Peak or Morphe, but it's one or the other. And I'll be going in more in the outer corner right here and just blending it out, keeping it right there, not trying to go inside. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to keep it out here just to create a little bit more depth. Yeah. And then slowly I'll bring it in just a little bit. And I'll kind of apply it on my lid too. I'll close my eye for that. Sometimes it comes out a little bit uneven just because my eyes are uneven and they're kind of like upwards. But you know, you do what you can. So what I'm doing right now is I just keep using the same eyeshadow, you know, tapping off the excess and just continuing to apply it in the same place to create a little bit more depth. So that way you don't have to use a bunch of shadows. And using a very light hand, you don't want to go in, you know, stabbing your eye or anything like that. You just really want to use a light hand. Now I know this brush is kind of dirty, but it's just stained. I will be cleaning my brushes soon, I promise. I'm going to be using another crease brush that's a little bit more tapered in, but it's still pretty good. The other one was a little bit more thicker and fatter. But for this specific one, this one's from It Cosmetics. I bought this a really long time ago, so the writing's written off. So I really don't know which one it is. But just anything similar to this I think would be fine. But now I'll be going into this L'Oreal, I don't know if it's LA palette or La palette, I really don't know. There's this L'Oreal palette that I got when I was in the airport. So these shadows aren't super pigmented, they're more on the soft side, but it's pretty good. If you really want something soft and you're a beginner and you just want to start out. This is pretty good, I guess. I just want to go in a little bit right here just to create a little bit more depth in the same place we applied the other shadow with the other brush, kind of going in more in the crease. Then I'll be getting a little bit more of that color, tapping off the excess. A lot of excess comes off out of this, by the way. And kind of going in more in this area of the eye. Trying to be a little bit gentle so you don't tug on your eyelid. Kind of going up, just in. Now I'm going in with the same brush that I used beforehand and just using it to blow out the eyeshadow just a little bit. Yep. Then going in with this one, and this time I'll be going in with, I don't know if you can see, but this eyeshadow right here, which is a little bit darker. Still very neutral, not as warm as the other tones that we used, but you know, whatever. Kind of going in again, tapping it in first this time, and then bringing it out. And after that, I'm going to blend it out in circular motions. Now, just to make sure that everything's blending in, I'm going back in with the e.l.f. brush again and just blending it out. What I kind of want to use is from the Peach palette, again from Too Faced, is the Luscious shade. It's a really pretty color. I'm using a flat brush from Morphe again, another M204, and apply this right around this area right here where we didn't really use a lot of shadow, and just pack it on just about halfway. And kind of bring it out a little bit more to the corner, the outer corner, just to blend it in a little bit. I kind of want to use a brighter shade actually, maybe around this area right here. So I'm going in with Nectar, the same shade that I used on my brow bone, applying it right around the middle of the eye, and then bringing it a little bit this way. Then I'm going to go in with the caramelized shade that we used from Morphe, I believe. I'm sorry if it's not from there, but I think it is. Then just kind of packing it on the outer corner and then bringing it in a little bit just to kind of blend it out. Then going in with that e.l.f. brush again, just making sure that everything's blended out. And then for now, I'm going to leave the eyes like this. I'm going to go in with my foundation and just the face makeup in general. I do lashes last just because, I don't know, that's just how I do it, I guess. So I already applied my foundation. I use the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation in the shade Sand. I usually use Dawn, but I got lighter, so this is the shade that I'm using right now. Next I'm going to be using my Tarte Shape Tape to conceal. I'm going in here. I'll be using the RCMA No Color Powder. Just opening this up and then applying a little bit to the cap. Oh, I got too much. Too much. Abort, abort, abort. So now I'm just going to be setting my under eyes and just other parts of my face that I feel like needs to be set. Getting some on a puff and then applying it wherever it is that I feel like I need it. Alright, so now that I set my face, I'm going to go in with my bronzing slash contouring, not really contouring, it's mostly bronzing. I'm using the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. And then I'm going to be using this this fluffy brush from Morphe, the M527. And I'm applying it here like this, tapping it off, and then I'll be applying it to this area right here, just in circular motions from the top of the ear, keeping it there, not trying to go anywhere else with it really. Just continuously going in with a light hand. A little bit up here. That's usually it. That's usually it. After this, I'll be going in with highlighter. I'm going to be using the new Anastasia and Amorisi collab highlight. So it looks like this. Just get this. I'm getting this Morphe fan brush in R12 and just kind of going like this to it, tapping off excess again, and then applying it right here at the top of my cheekbone. And then getting a little bit on my ring finger and just applying it at the very tip of my nose. Just around there. Right there. And then kind of fluffing it out here. Then getting a little bit more on the brush and then applying it to my cupid's bow. And going in just a little bit more on the high points of the cheeks until I feel like that's enough. Alright, next I'll be applying my blush. I'll be using the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush in Sensual. And kind of just applying it to the apple of the cheek and then bringing it into where I bronze. Kind of sweeping it up with a Morphe E4 brush. And then usually I leave it like this, but today I feel like I really want to define this area just a little bit more right here. I'm just going to apply a little bit right here just because I do crease there and I kind of want to, not exactly bake it, but just set it just a little bit more than usual. Powder's going everywhere. Ugh, no. Leave that there. I'm going to curl my lashes and then apply falsies because I like falsies. That one came out way better. Oh well. Okay. So now I'm just going to be dusting off the bake that I had on for like 5 minutes. Then I'm going to be applying just a little bit of the shadows that I used on top onto the lower lash line area. So I'm really not like super precise. I kind of just mix these two and then apply it on the lower lash line. And then from there, using that little pointer brush that we used for the brow bone and the same shadow that I used for the brow bone into the inner corner of the eyes, which was Nectar from the Too Faced Peach palette, Sweet Peach palette. I'm just applying a little bit right here. Just. So for some reason, no matter what mascara I use, it always ends up smudging on my lower lash line. So far this hasn't been giving me too much trouble. I mean, it still kind of makes, it still smudges sometimes, but it's not as bad. It's still L'Oreal. The Voluminous Lash Paradise Waterproof Mascara. I have to use waterproof because if I don't, it just like smudges everywhere. I don't know why, but I'm just going to use that on my bottom lashes. For lipstick, I'll be using the Marc Jacobs Sheer Gel Lipstick. I think that's what it's called. It's in this packaging right here. Then in the shade Role Play, I'll be using that as my lip color. Then in combination with that, I'll be using the Marc Jacobs lip gloss in Pretty Thing. Okay, so one step that I definitely did forget to do before filming this video was add eyebrow gel to my eyebrows. So I'm using the Givenchy Transparent Eyebrow Gel. It kind of helps it look a little bit like this. So yeah, like I know I haven't been on in a very long time. I've been really busy with just different things, and every time that I could find time, something always came up. But I did find time today to film, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try to create more content and just, yeah. Yeah, so, bye guys.